It was a dark and stormy night. Somewhere else. This was actually a calm, sunny day as we see a man walking directly towards the Hall of Justice. An ordinary day, an ordinary gait to his step, but not an ordinary man, nor was it an ordinary walk. This man was covered head to toe in bandages and cloth with a large brimmed hat on his head, a man that was dressed as if he feared the sun. And fear it he did. This man, he was no longer a man. This was Andrew Bennett. Vampire Andrew Bennett. Andrew was not headed into this fortress of heroes to simply pay a visit to a team he had encountered before. Andrew had a mission to save humanity. Andrew was greeted by Hal Jordan, aka the Green Lantern, and brought into the hall to better understand the reason for Andrew's unannounced visit. This vampire explained that a balance of power and control has shifted in the vampire world. Mary, Queen of Blood, the very reason that the balance exists, the reason that there is not a war between vampires and humans, was gone. Killed by the vampire who now reigns, the vampire who wants war. This is a warning, a notice to prepare for this coming onslaught in hopes that humanity will have a chance against this genocide. Andrew is trying to save humanity, to save the balance, to save the world. Only Hal already knows. The Green Lantern, powered by light himself, was already a creature of the dark. Hal used his powers to destroy Andrew, and the warning before it could even reach anyone else. Hal was already a vampire, working for the new unnamed leader to start the war Andrew warned about, even if it meant killing his own kind. Only the message did reach someone else. The world's greatest detective. Andrew already knew the secret identity of the Batman to be Bruce Wayne, and had already paid a visit to Wayne Manor to drop off a vial of Lex Luthor's blood, given to Andrew by Lex prior to his death as the only way to save humanity. Batman was warned. Bruce quickly gathered the Bat family to advise them of the threat that Andrew spelled out in a note that accompanied this vial. Only, Batman didn't disclose the vial, only the note. Heck, he even made everyone meet in the daylight outside, then hang out in the sunroom, drink holy water, then hold crucifixes. Trust is a really important thing. And so the adventure began. From a Green Lantern falling to Alfred and Oliver Queen, to Batman inadvertently allowing Superman to be turned to a vampire, Zatanna introduced already a vampire to be ultimately ripped apart by Dr. Fate. Fate, you're dead to me right now. Kara Zor-El spending time voluntarily stuffed in a trunk because the vampires had found a way to block out the sun and walk during the day. Clayface reduced to a turd, while Harley Quinn becomes possibly the key to saving everyone. You get the idea. There is a lot, and so much that can't quite be predicted. Yes, there may be some plot holes due to certain individuals and their powers that would or could easily have prevented things or detected things earlier, but it is still a fantastic journey into the what if. What would happen if... Sorry, Marvel. We're not here to spoil the entire story, but we are here to appreciate the adventure, that the contribution that Bruce Wayne, that Batman gave to this storyline despite unbelievable betrayal. And we leave it at that. But we don't leave you with only that, because thanks to McFarlane Toys, we have a chance to dive into the DC vampire world and add it to our collections. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collection, and in this episode we are taking a closer look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Walmart exclusive gold label DC vs. Vampires Batman. Hey everyone, welcome back. Here we have the gold label DC vs. Vampires, DC Multiverse, McFarlane Toys, Batman. Look at this package, that typical McFarlane presentation for it, front and back. But you know what? Let's start here on the back. We have some fantastic artwork of a vampire Batman, blood drooling out of his mouth, some red bats to kind of match that crimson red blood look. The glow in his eyes. I love the artwork that they choose for the backs of these boxes, and that it's always different. We're always looking at a different rendition, a different artist, a different style. It's not always the same artist or the same look around the back. And then over here on the side, we have the Batman DC Multiverse logo, DC versus Vampires. On the other side, we have that window where we can see that it is Batman, DC Multiverse, little label saying Gold Batman 7 inches. It's kind of a new label that I've noticed popping up on these boxes, no matter where it comes from. And then let's go back around to the front. We have the gold label right up there on the top left corner. Beautiful presentation of this figure. Just a haunting look of a Batman. Loving the way that this looks. It's so simple of a presentation, but something about the McFarlane DC Multiverse boxes. I just love the uniformity, but also the poses that they put these figures in here. All right, well, we didn't come here just to talk about it. We came here to take a closer look. So without further ado, let's bust into this one. And here we have him, the DC versus Vampires Batman / Bruce Wayne. What a great looking figure. I just love the colors of this one. They're kind of like a dark brown to the costume, which gives that idea of like it's, you know, maybe it's blood soaked or something, because the gray mixed with the red, the crimson red would kind of give it that tone. It's just very cool. And then there's a little bit of red on the gloves, but you know what, let's take a closer look. We're going to pull this out. We'll take a look at that weapon here just a little bit later. After we pull it out of his cold, undead hands. But again, I mean, just a great figure, right? And of course, we needed yet another Batman. But hey, if we're going to go into the DC versus Vampires collection, if we're starting with Batman, I am good with it. So let's look at that head sculpt first and foremost. So very well done. Just so menacing, so evil looking, right? It definitely looks like transformed into a vampire. I love it, right? So looking at the tone of the flesh, right? It looks like it's old, dead, decayed, lifeless. The teeth, very well sculpted on there. The blood on the bottom lip. The red of the eyes with the white in the middle as the pupils. A little bit of red and a scratch on the cowl, you know, just from battle and fighting. Because, you know, obviously not going to go down without a fight against vampires. So there could be some damage to him, but very well sculpted, and I love all the detail just throughout the head itself, showing through the mask, the cowl, right? It's not just a completely smooth cowl. You see the ears, you see the jawline, the wrinkle around the neck, because you know it's more like a fabric over some protective bits. But yeah, I mean, they did a great job of conveying that it is made of something, right? It has texture to it. It's more than just a smooth cowl, as I said, and I keep harping. Now, it is one thing that is unfortunate. It is, the neck is separate from the torso, but it is not separate from the head. This is not the first time I've seen this with a McFarlane Batman, and it's not the first time I've been disappointed with this presentation. It does not make sense to me to have a head attached to the neck when it comes to articulation. And I mean, yes, it can tilt side to side, and yes, both of them shifting does add to the creep factor of it being a vampire and all that jazz, but how much more fun and how much more great articulation and posing could you get if they were separate? Now, with that being said, side to side, as we can see, wasn't bad. Up and down, that's up, down, pretty good, right? We can almost get chin to chest on that one. So he can be a sad, forlorn vampire, just thinking about things. But as we push it back to make it look up, it does create a gap there and kind of loses the sculpt very easily. So that is unfortunate. But it will, I assume, do a full Exorcist rotation despite being one piece. So I can't really complain about that part. I'm always happy when that is a possibility. Clearly, those are my priorities right there. Then looking at the arm, we've got a butterfly joint on there. Great mobility, that typical McFarlane capability that we see. The bicep tricep sculpt here is very well done because the way that it creates that V, let's see, it will rotate all the way around, and it does not really create a gap to speak of, maybe a little bit right there, but not much to really speak of or be too concerned with. So that I'm happy to see. I like to see how stuff constantly improves, or, you know, it's just a quality sculpt and they can reuse it. Double pinned elbow again, but McFarlane hasn't really mentioned anything about going away from pins, and it works great, right? So we've got excellent flexibility right there. He can almost grab himself with this creepy hand. No forearm rotation, but we do have that typical McFarlane wrist wobble capability. So this, I mean, you can go pretty much any direction as long as you get that joint to shift with it. And the hand, just this clawed, vicious looking hand with the blood on it and the shine to it. I appreciate how it has that little bit of shine. Whether that was intentional or not, it definitely adds and makes it look like it's, for lack of a better term, just wet because of the blood. The other arm has the same capability and functionality. We have a slightly different hand, as you saw. It is a weapon-holding hand to hold on to the massive axe that he came with, his vampire fighting axe, which clearly did not work out very well in this figure's favor. But, you know, maybe he's about ready to give a thumbs up. Who knows? But it is yet another blood-stained hand, and then the exaggerated claws to it just really add to that vampire effect. I mean, look at that thumbnail. That is crazy. It's painted black. And then Batman's thumbnail is really crazy, too. Nah. Okay, I digress. Now, here in the mid-torso, we have, oh yeah, good, full range of motion right there. So when we go back, we have a pretty good arch to the back right there, as you can see. Pretty good for crunch forward, not too great. And also when we arch it back, we kind of lose some of the sculpt and we get that gap a little bit there. But it is good for that that freedom of motion, which oftentimes I've seen as a sacrifice sometimes. Well, I'll say sometimes for waist rotation, but we do still have that. And we have the flexible rubber here for the outer shorts area. So it kind of makes up for any kind of gap that would happen by doing a little waist rotation. So I like that. And then we also have the belt, which adds a little bit more. And the belt being in the brown to match the color scheme, I just think it's great. Sure, it's not that typical yellow, but that's okay. We're missing a little bit of we've got a little bit of a paint issue right there. Some of it seems to have rubbed off. Hey, maybe I did that playing around with it, but you know what? That'll be on me, but just something that's never really great to see is when the paint rubs off that easily, whether I did it or not. Same typical joint that we have here for the split, the good old bat split. He may have lost his life and he's now in the undead, but he can still do the old bat split, the vamp bat split. Who would think he would be even more flexible now? Double pinned knee, so we've got that excellent flexibility that we're used to for that. So great to see there. No calf rotation, but we do have that excellent ankle that gives the McFarlane wobble and the ankle break capability very easily. And toe articulation, yeah. And then, of course, the other leg has that same capability. Now, the cape is the typical presentation that we see, right? This one actually may be a reuse. It certainly looks very common from that first Batman that came out, the original McFarlane release. But it is that flexible rubber plastic. It's a little bit thicker than some of the more new ones that have a little bit more flexibility to them, like the Eradicator's cape. I did like the thickness and malleability of the Eradicator cape that came out with the same time as this. It's kind of the same release. But still, nevertheless, it is a great cape. It's good for posing. It is a bit heavy. It does want to pull the figure down when I try and get it to stand up on its own. But I think we're all kind of familiar with and used to that. Paint apps, everything looked pretty good, aside from, you know, missing a little bit right there. I love the paint apps on the head, the slight bit of blood, and around the mouth, the teeth and all that. It's just very, very well done. And then the hands with that wet blood look to them. And there's just not really a lot of paint opportunities here because a lot of it is cast in that colored plastic, right? So we got it cast in the brown plastic. And this is like a rubbery type inlay, it looks like, or at least stuck to this plastic for the bat symbol. So this isn't even painted on. It has a little bit of give, so it's like a rubbery material. So I appreciate that. That's a nice little extra detail for the texture and for just that finish of that look. So there we go. I mean, I think this is a fantastic figure. I know that it is very difficult to find. I hope that you will have the luck that I have had. Now, of course, as usual, our goal with this channel is to be able to help get these things in people's hands, and we do have some pretty good luck at locating stuff. So please let us know if there is a way that we can help. In the meantime, I want to see if I can get him to stand up and cooperate with me without pulling in a McFarlane stand for assistance. And he won't, so I'm going to pull in a stand for a little bit of assistance so we can take a look at that weapon, and hopefully that will get this undead Batman to cooperate and hang out. There we go. So he's going to stand. Thank goodness for those stands, right? Okay, and now let's take a look at the axe. And I'm going to adjust to manual focus so we can look at it closely. I am very impressed by this axe, just from having looked at it and putting it in his hand. Just the sculpt of it, very well done. It certainly looks like a medieval vampire killing axe, and I appreciate the paint job on it, right? So it is painted in a darker silver for the handle and for this main bit here, but then the blades where it's sharpened. I gotta say that the little chips and cuts out of it, just fantastic extra bit. But then where it's sharpened is a lighter silver color. Even the point up here is a lighter silver color with it kind of coming down. You got the shine. And then down here on the tip, which is like it seems like a silver stake, is in that silver color. So it definitely gives the idea that this is a sharpened silver axe, which is designed to kill supernatural beings, aka vampires. And then we have, it looks like this thing might be ancient, and then the bat has been riveted onto it. So what a great little extra detail, right? So this thing is probably from forever ago that Bruce got a hold of and is like, I've got to make it bat. I'm gonna rivet some bat symbols on it. And so he did, and they added it as a detail on there. So very cool. That is our vampire, DC versus vampires, Batman. Well, that about brings us to the end of this spine-chilling episode. Thank you for taking the time to join us, as always. Now, if we ever do a review of something that you are trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JKCollectsToys so we can help with the search if we don't already have a way of getting one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments, and let YouTube know by subscribing and clicking that like button. The more that happens, the more it helps us out, and YouTube recommends us so we can hopefully reach even more collectors and help them find the things that they need. And if you'd like to see some more videos, we have some links on your screen for you to check out. Also, remember, collecting or not, we are all in this world together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.